And hello. Welcome back to the channels, guys. We are currently just doing a flight here. You guys know we do always stream our close near to end of our flights here on the channel until we start getting a little bit bigger and start doing some, way better streams. But for now, we are in the 777-200ER. By PMDG. We're crossing the pond from JFK over to London Heathrow. We did have ATC a little bit earlier on, so we did have to connect, but we are no longer connected to our ATC here. Right, so we are about to do our approach, and we're going to prepare our arrival into London Heathrow today. And this is what we are getting done. London Heathrow, let's take a look at the arrivals today. We need to change off our runway. I'm not seeing any weather information for London Heathrow, but winds are variable. Taking a look at the VATSIM radar to see what runway most persons fly into Heathrow are going to be taken. So it looks like we are just gonna run for 27 left. And so we can go ahead and make that adjustment right now. It's 100% humidity. Temperature is 3 degrees. Dew point is 3 degrees Celsius. That was given like about 3 minutes ago. What we're gonna do is just make sure that we can select the approach. Let's switch the approach over to 27 left. So it's still gonna be the Series 1 hotel arrival. And we're gonna do the ILS runway 27 left with the Ockham transition. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and select that in our FMS. Alright, let me just input that in right now. So we're selecting ILS runway 27 left. And then the Series 1 hotel. There it is, Series 1 hotel. We're taking the OCK transition right here. And we're gonna execute that. Let's erase that. We're not gonna make all of that. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at our approach path. Let's switch to plan mode. We're gonna step across. Alright, we see our top of descent as we step across here. And the flight plan looks perfect. Alright, so now that we can see what our flight plan looks like, we're just going to go ahead and step again through here so you guys are able to see exactly what we're doing. Here we are entering Dinham. If we step across, we can see exactly where our top of descent is after infect. Going to step forward a little bit, and all this is going to be where we will be descending down to Ockham. And there's Ockham right here at flight level 70. Remember, seeing that we are going over to Europe, the transition altitude over in the UK is going to be 60. All right, so we follow the Occam transition all the way through. We're going to zoom in a little bit. We're going to step through. And we intercept the localizer right here. This should be where we should be intercepting our glide slope, and then we'll follow that in all the way down to runway 27 left. Now, this is subject to change. 27 left, again, it's variable winds, so in the event that we are going to have to do a runway 09er, we will be listening in and figuring out what runway we're going to be landing on. However, we're expecting runway 27 left. It's better for us because when we touch down at the end of, at the start of runway 09er is going to be where we're going to be parking, which is going to be good for us. If we go down to 09er, it's going to be bad for us because then we are going to be taxiing a little bit longer. All right, let's go back to our map view. Zoom out a little bit. We do have some weather on the weather radar. Hang on a second, guys. So my dog is going crazy out there, but for some reason that dog is just always up to something on the outside. It sees something, it'll bark. Alright, let's see. Tab brings up our EFB. Okay, gotcha. Oh no, okay. That's not what it will do. Alright, I'm just taking a look at a couple of things here to help someone out with their sim brief integration. Oh, we just got some lightning going on outside. I'm sure the passengers are having a good view, or most of them are pretty much asleep. Right there, we're getting a little bit of turbulence out here in cruise, and we are doing our best to see if we can get as a smooth ride as possible. Flight level 410, reasonable flight level. Lower to legs, get to a progress page. We got about 300 nautical miles for top of descent. It's a little bit rough, but we can get there. We're over most of the bad weather for now, but we're just crossing an area of clear air turbulence as the jet streams converge. Let's go ahead and take a look at our chart here. Let's go ahead for our arrival. Go back to charts. Arrival star. Let's pin that chart. Our approach is the ILS runway 27 left. Gonna run for the Cat 3 arrival. And then our airport. We're gonna pin this. And we're gonna go to the pinned. Check our approach. From Ockham, we're heading inbound and turning in. Now let's take a look through with our chart here. Our minimums for the Cat 3 ILS is 50. So we're gonna go ahead and go our init ref right here. And we can do our landing calculation. So we're hit landing en route. We're 27 left. Check the details. Runway condition is dry. Non-normal condition. We're VREF at 5. Reverse the config. All up. Go ahead and calculate that. Alright, no credit. Let's go ahead and calculate. Whoa, we're gonna stop pretty quickly there. Looks like we have good stopping power here. We're not brake max manual. We will use auto brake 2. The aircraft calculates max manual braking where we just slam on the brakes. We're checking something here. All right, so let's see. Variable 2, check, check, check. All that is good. So we are flaps. Oh, we can config 25 on that. And it's gonna be 137 knots. So we'll add that BREF in there, and we will be all set to go. Ooh, okay. We're still catching some clear air turbulence here as well. We're going on turbulence mode as well. Rightio, as you guys see, we are experiencing some severe clear air turbulence. The winds are pretty much gusty up here. That noise that you guys heard was my ACARS. With British Airways Virtual, we do have an ACARS system that monitors or does a um, pilot response. Always checks on the pilot to make sure the pilot is there. If in even after 10 minutes it does not detect that you're there, it's going to disconnect you or it's going to cancel your flight plan. You're going to have to start all over again, which is very annoying. Um, I dislike that feature because you cannot fly long haul routes without having to go to rest. But there is a rest option where you can actually select the option and then go off duty, like you're resting. It'll also let you know that you please disconnect from VATSIM as well, so that you don't cause any issues. Also, the post rep will not be activated. It'll be inhibited below 10,000 feet, so you ain't got to worry about it before you hit down to 10,000. We can pause for 30 minutes, and then we have a 1 hour disconnect limit. All around a pretty good system, but it's annoying as heck. So for example, if you can be right here and then you get up and you move and then the post rep comes through and you may be in a conversation and you leave to run out to take out the trash or something like that, and then the time expires and you're screwed, bro. Sometimes you may be into a 6 or a 7 hour flight, and just because you miss your post rep, it cancels the entire 6 or 7 hour flight. One of the most annoying things about that VA that I found. But one flight every 30 days should be okay. You are able to perform that flight at any time. Right, you. Alright, so we're pretty much over the coast of Ireland. That's what you guys are seeing right here. This is the entire Ireland coast. Oh, we can put our EFB up here as well. Rather it down. Yeah, I can put it up here when I need to. Or I could hold it in my hand like this. But I rather it down here. When we're on approach, I'll switch it up to up here, which is a lot easier for me. It's a lot easier to see. But the thing about it is, before you turn on to the approach, you got to put this down because you don't want this blocking. It takes up a lot of space, so you won't be able to see outside this window here. We have got two VATSIM supervisors online, not checking us out, pretty much flying okay. Okay, this clear turbulence at 410 is ridiculous, bro. And my turbulence is on low, not realistic. To some of you guys who are wondering, we're on low turbulence. Low is more realistic, and I'm guessing that right now low is like the new realistic. All right, so again, we're in a patch of clear air turbulence, and we're just trying. We've kept our passenger signs on, um, and everything else on our overhead panel is fine. Our co-pilot is there, just chilling. We have our weather radar set to weather and turbulence as well, but um, it's not really popping up or showing anything here. When we make that right turn, it should be just a straight crosswind, so the aircraft should be able to manage that turbulence a little bit better. Not much traffic across the pond this evening. We pretty much are following an A321neo, which is a little bit ahead of us, a couple hundred nautical miles ahead of us. He's at flight level 280 or 290, and it looks like he came from Dublin, and he's heading down to London Heathrow right now. He's direct to one of our waypoints here, which is Infect. However, looks like during our descent, we should be flying through an area that has some moderate precipitation. As you notice, we're making that turn, so the winds are going to be coming out from our right side, and that's just going to hit us to the side. The aircraft should be able to manage it a little bit more. But again, this is where winds converge, and we should still be experiencing some turbulence as we go through. In the event that we do experience or it gets to less, we will go ahead and switch off our seatbelt signs, give the passengers a little time to move around the cabin. Leaving Kennedy today, we did have some pretty low weather, low temperatures, sorry. That means that while we were flying through clouds, we were experiencing some icing, so we had to have our engine and wing anti-ice on once we started going through the clouds. That way we don't cause any unnecessary stress to the engines and don't stall our aircraft based on the airframe icing. Temperatures out of Kennedy today was -6 degrees. Pretty easy to take off. The aircraft did climb out pretty good. This is the Gen X G90-115Bs, so these are pretty powerful engine, 112,000 pounds of thrust per engine. So we had enough power to get out, and we were able to do our rollout and climb out perfectly. Our V1 today was 128, and our VR was 145 knots. Then we have ample enough stopping distance. We're using flap config 25. VREF plus 5, that gives us 137 knots of VREF speed for our landing. Taking ILS runway 27 left, which is going to be a Cat 3 landing. However, we are going to be doing manual landings, as our channel is all about doing things the right way. That means that we are going to be prepared for our approach, ensuring that we're ahead of the aircraft at all times when we perform everything that we're going to be doing. So that's why you see me look around a lot, monitoring a lot of my instruments. Although you don't really typically need to do it until you start getting into the groove for that workload. However, I like to be ahead of my aircraft at all times, so my workload is always light. You want to always be planning for what you're going to expect. Again, expecting for us to experience some turbulence on the final approach here, then at least the 5-mile ride here at the London beacon here. We're expected to have some turbulence because, again, the heat rising up from the buildings from the daytime, that's going to be climbing up, so the hot air is going to be climbing, and then we're expected to pass over some of those pockets of warm air. That will cause us to oscillate a little bit. You will see our nose may dip, may climb, may bump. We may balloon a little bit, but that is to be expected. Again, we have ample runway distance. We're trying to use up as much of the runway as possible because, again, our gates, if I go ahead to the airport section right here, our gates are all the way down here. We're landing on runway 27 left, which is right here. We got those 12,000 feet of runway. We touch down here, we're going to try to get off on November 6 or November 7. November 7 being my what I'm going to be planning for, but we can also get off on November 6. Based on where we land and we roll out. So we'll be looking out for November 6. Keep that in mind. Get off on November 6. November 6 to Alpha, Charlie, and we're turning into Bravo for, or we can turn into Delta here, where we can go into Terminal 5 Bravo. So plans to land. Our touchdown zone is going to be within November Bravo 3 right here. That's where we're going to plan to perform our touchdown. Even if we extend that touchdown, we should have enough runway that we will stop by November 6th. 25 right is a longer runway, but we will be taking 25 left. Again, our parking area is going to be in Terminal 5, either Bravo or Charlie. We can do Terminal 5 Alpha, but we're not going over here. We're going to 5 Bravo. Start going to be the Surge arrival, and then it's just going to be standard RNAV arrival. We did take the route via Ockham, so that's going to be fine. As you see, our transition is going over to Ockham here. Transition level is going to be flight level 60 or 060, my apologies. And Zurich is going to be our flight. We're going to be flying in here over to Ockham. We're going to be flying across this way, following our flight path, and then we're going to come around into the arrival. So then once we get through here, we'll be entering the approach once we start making that left-hand turn to connect with our ILS. So if you guys are wondering, again, it's a standard 3-degree glide slope. Nothing much else. We do have the hails and we have poppies expected to be seen pretty far out. Our visibility into the airport today is pretty good, so we are expected to have pretty good visibility on the runway before 50 feet. Again, it's a Cat 3 ILS approach, so our minimums are pretty low. We can get down to 50 feet before we can decide to do a go around. But again, our weather is pretty good out here in London Heathrow. If you look here, our winds are variable at 2 knots, so very, very light winds. Temperature is 3.3, QNH is 990. Yeah, so we're all set in terms of this. If we look at a simple information here, but I like using our METAR. We don't have an alternate, but I think SimBrief did give us an alternate. So we have Manchester, Stansted, and Birmingham. Those are our 3 alternate runways that we can go to in the event that we decide to do a go around. But again, that looks unlikely. Stansted being the closest one, and Manchester being the furthest. With BA Virtual, we do also get a divert option here as well, so we can select a diversion. In the event that the weather is not suitable for landing at your arrival airport, you can also perform a divert. So the ACARS will, provide or give you the necessary stuff for that diversion, and you should be all set. You would have to fill out a form, which lets them know exactly why you perform that divert, but yeah. Alright, we're getting top of descent in about 24 nautical miles. We're going to go ahead and set our descent down to 7,000. 7,000 set. Go ahead on the checklist. That's normal. On our descent checklist, our recall is checked. Notes cleared. Auto brake is selected for auto brake 2. Landing VREF and data, we have set that already. Our approach briefing, we spoke about our approach. We spoke about exactly what we're supposed to be expecting today. Spoke about our minimums. Spoke about what we're expecting in terms of the performance of the aircraft during landing, where we're expected to taxi out, where we're expected to land, and the type of aircraft that we have today. We also spoke about our alternate options, including the most suitable airport, which is going to be the closest airport for us to arrive in, We spoke about traffic. We spoke about any NOTAMs. No, we didn't speak about any NOTAMs, but there aren't any NOTAMs for our arrival today. Nothing of note, so to speak. Um, we also did not speak about our go-around options, but our go-around options are pretty clear. In the event that we need to perform a go-around, the missed approach is climb to 2000 straight ahead until passing 1080, or in about the whatever it is, um, whatever is later. Then left on a track of 146 when established, passing 6 DME from London VOR, climb 3000 without delay. We continue as directed, and pretty much it's a left-hand turn out to the London DM, like 6 miles from the London DME. Gonna be reconnecting to Epsom, and then we're gonna continue again for the well, follow for the final approach here again. So we'll reconvene on the approach. Depends on what happens. In the event that it's like pretty low visibility, we will be going around and we're going to be diverting to our um, diversion, which is going to be the closest, which is London Stansted. All right, so approach briefing is pretty much complete at this time. We are going to go ahead and turn off our checklist. Take a look at our status screen here so we can see exactly what the aircraft is going to be doing as it goes down on its descent. We didn't talk about hazards, but for today again, well, yeah, we did. The weather is perfect. Weather was our concern, but I don't think it should be a factor today. So we did speak about our hazards. Now we're preparing for our descent. Here comes our vertical profile. It's coming down, and then the aircraft is going to start following that vertical profile. There we go. Idle. Checked. My cat is at my foot and it's being annoying. Alrighty, yo. Here's the weather heading down. We don't see any traffic. The good thing about Flight Sim 2024 is the fact that you are able to see traffic a lot better because the lighting is way better than 2020. You do in 2020 you see them, but they're pretty far out. You gotta look very carefully with 2020. In 2024, you can identify the reds and the greens. So you will be able to identify traffic a lot better. But for now, we don't have any traffic ahead of us. The Speedbird 825, that aircraft is pretty far away from us. They're at Suruk, and yeah, they're pretty far ahead of us. We ain't got to worry about them when we come in calling for our approach. We do have another Speedbird on the approach here. He's going to Gatwick, so that's not a problem. Gatwick, not a problem. And then we have an Edelweiss, which is going to Gatwick as well. So for now, we have no arrivals into London Heathrow. That is going to affect our arrival into London Heathrow today. The only arrival that we have to keep an eye out for is going to be our... hang on, let me see where this all in a pond took off from. Yeah, he took off from runway 09, didn't he? Yeah, he took off from runway 9, right. Variable winds where we should be okay. So as you guys see, no VATSIM traffic anywhere. And the weather does look bleak headed into London today. Pretty nice evening approach. I would have done a stream a lot sooner, but I was not feeling well earlier on this afternoon. So I had to take some time to take some rest. As I continued my flight, I started to feel a little bit better. Still feeling a little bit under the weather, but we are able to perform this flight, so we're still fit for duty. We did crew rest, which is fine, which is allowed by our VA. You guys notice as we start descending out of the higher altitudes where the high altitude winds are, our turbulence level went down, so we're pretty good. We're not experiencing as much yaw as we did while we were still in cruise. I'm hoping that the audio is perfectly fine for you guys in terms of how loud it is. I don't want to have this extremely loud. I don't want it to sound like the engines are over my voice as well. I don't want you guys to be hearing any echoing because I'm not using headphones. I am using a sound system, so it's connected to a subwoofer and the side speakers as well. So I like hearing it like that. It's a lot louder. The subwoofer makes the bass in the engine rumble a lot better. Sounds a lot better. Um, but in terms of streaming, it does put a damper on it because then you guys do hear the echo because my microphone is super sensitive. It picks it up. It picks anything up. My dog is all the way outside and you guys hear my dog barking. So um, just hoping that it is perfectly fine. I am watching the stream myself as well from my phone just to ensure that I don't hear anything. And I always do that mainly because I want to ensure that um, what is being displayed here to you guys or what is being streamed here to you guys is of the best quality. Now, one of the things that we didn't speak about while we were on our briefing, which is not really detrimental to our flight necessarily, but it's something worth noting. Ever since I made adjustments to my aircraft, or not my aircraft, but to my BIOS file to be able to run at 8 times, I've never flown into not JFK, but London Heathrow. Now, I'm not sure how the sim is going to perform while we fly into London Heathrow. Um, the PMDG is pretty light on the system, so we should be able to fly into London Heathrow perfectly fine with no issues in terms of our performance loss. But we should expect that upon landing, while we are approaching for landing, expect that there will be slight stuttering for that arrival. That's something that I'm expecting. And you always plan for the worst because then when the worst does not happen, you feel great, right? So um, just a slight stutter there as we turn around. And one of the things that I failed to do was to delete my rolling cache file, which is always something that is suggested, especially after you make adjustments or updates to your sim. We're flying the 777-200ER from PMDG. I'm going to go to the outside view, so I'm going to mute my mic so that it is not, sorry, it's not extremely loud. As you guys did observe, we were flying the beautiful 777-200ER with the General Electric 9115B engines, or the G90 115s. Because of the amount of thrust we have on this aircraft, go arounds and so on, we have a lot of performance overhead. If you guys look on my engine display or indication here, I mean, even that we are getting ice in, the anti-ice for the engine and the wing anti-ice will turn on automatically. They're set to auto up here. So I don't need to touch anything. The aircraft will sense and do what it needs to do in order to protect itself from icing. As we're going through flight level 220, we are descending nicely. We're just below our glide path for our vertical nav, about 50 feet. It is adjusting, which is good because then we don't have to worry about slow down for flight level 100. Which the limitation, if you guys are wondering what the limitation, the speed restriction is for, it's to allow pilots to be able to see and avoid. It gives you the best rate for see and avoid, because the faster you fly, the less time you have to react to certain situations. For example, if we see an aircraft coming across here and we're flying over 300 knots, it's going to take a lot more. There's a slight or a shorter time for me to react, to see, detect what it's doing, and avoid it as well. So the speed restriction below 10,000 feet is for that particular reason. So because a lot of aircrafts are flying below 10,000 feet, so if we are able to see them, see what they're doing, look at our TCAS, verify what they are doing, and then be able to plan, based upon what they're doing, it gives us enough time, or ample enough time, for us to be able to perform these actions, as opposed to flying at 300, almost 350 knots and not being able to maneuver in time. So, for example, I'll see someone coming out from this end, and he'll be flying, let's say, 300 knots below 10,000 feet. And that's going to give me way less time in order for me to react, in terms of either halt, like seeing what he's doing, and look at my TCAS, see what direction he's flying, monitor what he's doing out there, and be able to halt my descent, turn off my autopilot, and try to avoid him in the event that we're going to go into a collision. So if you guys ever wondered why, that's the reason why. Again, with these larger jets, you do fly at a faster speed, and that's something that we always have to keep in mind, that you're not the only one in the skies. Same way like you're not the only one driving, you're not the only one in the skies. The only difference is, in the skies, braking is not something that is very easy to do. Alright, below flight level 175. Air temperature is minus 15 degrees Celsius. So it's pretty cold out here at this altitude. Right, so this may be a good way to show you guys that the anti-ice does turn on automatically. If in the event we go through this cloud and we are experiencing icing, you should see engine EAI or WAI pop up on either of these displays right here. The first one that does pop up is going to be the engine anti-ice, because that is a lot more critical. And then in the event that there is severe icing, where ice is building up on the wings, you will see the wing anti-ice turn on. Currently our cat is on our lap. Oh, we didn't go through any clouds, so that means that we kind of went under it. Yeah, so we did go under the clouds, so this didn't show up for you guys to see. Speed checked. This I do have show thrust lever position turned on. So this blue um, that you see here on the dial will be the thrust lever position. If I move my thrust levers, you will see it go back. That's pretty much the thrust lever position. I have disabled throttle input um, while the aircraft, well, auto throttle is armed. The reason for that being you don't want to be moving your throttles around. And again, there are certain times when my throttles do move um, because either of calibration errors or sometimes if I don't calibrate it in a while, maybe like about a week, it'll start moving on its own. That's why sometimes if you look at my throttles here, you will see it moving and flickering a little bit. That's because there is interference. And again, it's a low quality throttle. Don't have the ways and means to get something out at a higher cost, but later on for that. But yeah, I have it disabled just so that I had it set to hold mode only, but then I realized that there are certain times when it went into hold mode, especially when you're in a descent, um, and I have my throttles all the way up. All of a sudden, when it goes into hold, the throttles just ramp up and go all the way up, and it won't come off because the aircraft is going to be in hold mode. So I disable that. There's traffic out there. We got eyes on traffic. Let's check our TCAS, see how far he is out. All right, he is most likely on the approach into London Heathrow. Let's verify him on the radar. Yep, so that's Speedbird 825. He's an A321neo, and he is currently at 2,400 feet in the landing phase for runway 27 left. So looks like we are on the right path there. So that's why I said it's a lot easier to see traffic in Flight Sim 2024. He should be going into our blind spot shortly. This bar right here in the cockpit, this actually is a blind spot. So in the event that an aircraft is traveling at, well, relatively at a specific closing rate, and it's right within here, a lot of things need to line up for you to be literally in the blind spot. That's why it's always good to keep an eye on your TCAS just to verify traffic around you, especially when you're flying in congested areas such as this. You got to keep your head on a swivel, looking all around. So the first officer will be looking out, and that sounds like a very interesting thing to add to my co-pilot that I'm coding. So the co-pilot will look at traffic on the outside, verify, validate, and see where traffic is. I need to think about coding that. Cool. We'll think about that. I am producing, I am coding a program here for flights in 2020 and 2024. Basically an AI co-pilot. That's something that I want to add to its coding as well. So in the event that it does see traffic within a certain range, like for example within visible range, he will call it out as well. All right, so we have deceleration at this time. There we go, passing 10,000 feet, wait in. 10,000, finalize set to on, check. Drag is required, yes I am aware. but it's not really required right now. If we were still at about 250 knots or 260 knots, then I would have pulled out our speed brake to try to slow us down. Right, let's go ahead and make our calls out to London traffic. Heathrow traffic, Speedbird 40 Foxtrot, we are on the Siri 1 hotel arrival for ILS runway 27 left. We're direct Ockham at this time, descending through flight level 090, London Heathrow. Alright, so there's our call out. We didn't call out to London traffic. And he's in our blind spot at this time, so we're not able to see him. And I think he should have landed already. Cabin ready, check. There we go, cabin ready. Now we're keeping our head on a swivel for any traffic that may pop up. Do have weather ahead of us. We're going to be making a left turn at Ockham, so it should not be a factor. So these clouds aren't going to be a factor for us. They may or they may not. 7,000 at Ockham. All right, so there's the traffic down here, so he's on the ground. Again, very easy to see traffic in flights in 2024, which is a great thing, because most times when you're flying in 2020 you don't see traffic on ground like this. So just keeping my eyes peeled, my head on a swivel, and we're flying into Heathrow at this time. Again, this is a busy airport. Although on VATSIM right now, traffic into London Heathrow is pretty light. We have very light traffic. 1,000 to go. 6,000 set. Check our legs. Let's see where our descent looks like. So our altitude constraint, we're looking at 3,000, but we're gonna be constrained until we start making that left-hand turn. So if you take a look at here, we're 6,000 active. And then we're going to be going all the way around here. Then we'll be at 3,000. Speed restriction, slow. Now we're going to be rolling back to 220 knots. As we approach Ockham here, we are going to go through some of the clouds. Our seatbelt signs are set to on, so pack signs are on. Zoom in a little bit so we can see a little bit better. There's no rain in here, but we are going to be going through the clouds here. Temperature is above 3 degrees, but it still has a potential for icing. So we're going to start our turn and we're going to be funneling through. Roll out. No longer able to see the traffic because his altitude restriction check.
Hi, Jake.
Someone speaking to Jake. Alright, sounds good. We're good. Let's zoom out here. So any traffic would be behind us here, and they're within our blind spot right now. This up here. There we go. As we go ahead for our arrival, let's check our arrival, and we have already left and started heading over here. So we're going to go back to our approach chart, select that. Already been seen on the map, so we're heading over here, and then we're going to swing in. Sweet. put our EFB back down here so we can get a little better view outside of our window. All right, descend. Confirm speed restriction 220. 1,000 to go. 6,000. Below 7,000. Transition altitude is 6,000 feet, so we'll wait until then. Let's pop for 3,000 and now. Next alt restriction is set, and this is our go-around altitude. However, we'll be climbing to 2,000 first on the go-around if in the event that is required. But from what I saw out there, the weather does look beautiful. There's an aircraft right over here. Looks like he is coming in an MD-11. He's at 5,000 feet. But we are going to be beating him in. All right. There we go. We set our transition altitude, not our transition altitude, but we set our QNH. All right, let's go ahead and select approach mode. Approach mode is arm checklist. Altimeters are set in cross check. Checklist is complete. Go back to statistics and we'll come in. About 200 feet above or below our where we want to be. There's the traffic right here. Looks like he's coming in on the approach. He's going to be blocking us here. And knowing him, he's not going to be calling. He's not. I'm not hearing any call outs from this guy. Alright, here we go. Approach arm loc captured. Either traffic, Speedbird 40 Foxtrot, we are established
Traffic.
on the localizer.
Traffic.
Going around.
Adjust vertical speed. Adjust.
Come on. Gotta start climbing out, avoiding him, and then we're gonna circle around for that arrival.
Clear of conflict.
Alright, so we're just gonna go ahead and select. We're just gonna go around here and circle back. Level change. You'll put us back into VNAV. Nope, we're level change. Go back up to 220 knots. Alright, well, that's something that happens, guys. Persons on VATSIM does not like to call, especially, he's not even making any calls. Gonna try to go back around. Hang on, I'm getting notified by a supervisor here. Don't like to be that guy, but you have to be that guy at times because that's a serious incident. He's not making any call outs on Watson. Looks like he is like, come on. You're hearing my calls and you're not doing nothing. Also, I think my thing is not functioning properly. Midnight, give me a second. You gotta get down. Alright, I'm gonna have to Alright, we're gonna select approach mode once more. And approach mode is... Wait, what? Just happened. Okay, that is interesting. And we just lost our fucking engines. Are you kidding me? And we need thrust. Come on. And watch how low we are. That is interesting. Guys, that just happened. And our engines are rolling back. It keeps rolling back, bro. Just imagine what just happened. What the hell just happened? Okay. Okay, we're not able to make it to the runway. I can guarantee you that.
Hey, something's broken.
Yeah, something went off here for me. Wow.
On the Speedbird, you 129 Romeo. Push star at K 221 right to taxi lane left.
Alright, let's do a quick pause here.
I need to traffic Speedbird 638
Because
pushing off
something just happened to my engine here, which is very
on
annoying.
Alpha.
Let's see. That's a load of state. Yeah, we're gonna have to load that panel of state here for us. Because that one's interesting.
Sink rate. Too low. Gear. Pull up.
Yeah, something went off for us here.
Pull up. Pull up.
30.
Yep. I'm not sure what just happened. that was an interesting thing. Alright, so our flight just cancelled. And that happens. So that literally just happened, guys. What just happened? So I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. This was like oh well, shit happens. I guess. I'm still not sure exactly what went on here, what went wrong. Check our ground ops, ground maintenance. There's nothing really that says that there will be issues. This is the first detect fire cargo aft forward, fuel pump. And now it's functioning. Alright, so my sim crashed. No, not my sim, but my ACARS crashed. But can you guys guess what happened? But I'm gonna reconvene this, maybe recheck this, because for some reason that happened. Well, can happen to anyone, I guess. What an end to a 7-hour flight. How long was that? That was like, yeah, it was about 7 hours. Yeah, about 7 hours. Alright, so guys, just to let you know exactly, look, I have no throttle control. I have no throttle control at all. Yeah, something broke. I'm guessing it's a WASM error or something like that. So we are gonna reconvene this, maybe do a different aircraft. Something broke on the sim side. Looks like it is being reported as well. But I'm gonna hop off, see if I can do something else for the time being. Again, at least you guys did learn something for the most part. We were on approach, and then all of a sudden, poof, everything shut down. You notice my screens are still flickering, so then that means that we had a WASM crash on the, look, it's going offline right now. There it goes, back on. Yeah, something broke. So yeah, we did have a WASM crash, guys, so that's what's going on right now. So I'm gonna hop off, maybe try to fly a different flight and see if we can do something else, right? So I'll hop back on once I am able to. Thank you guys for at least watching this stream. Guys, at least learn something in terms of your procedures that you are gonna do. And yeah, we'll do something else.